How's it going, everybody? It's F4u, and as for myself, many of you may know that I've been pretty busy in the past, especially nowadays with everything that's been going on. But regardless, I've found time to do a tour of my tutorial world, of which the layout resembles a military base. So I guess I'll just start in this corner and do a big circle around the area, and you'll hear about my future intentions for what I plan to build in due time. So we'll start in this corner. Over here at the beginning of the tour, we have the corner sectioned off just for Soviet builds, being that many of their vehicles tend to be larger. For instance, the T-35 here. Oh, and a side note, please forgive the low FPS, and as I move around, you'll see that the chunks load very slowly. I apologize for that. I don't know why it's a bit more laggy than it used to be. Because I still have the same 6 GB of RAM that I used to. I don't know why it's a bit more laggy nowadays, but we'll just work with it. Anyway, so yeah, here we have the T-35 here with 5 individual turrets, I'm pretty sure. Well, there's 3 cannons, and then 2 machine guns, 2 machine gun mounts, and then 2 on the sides. And then next to that we have the T-34. Here's the Kalinin K7. Oh, and I'm forgetting some pieces. Whoopsie doodle. I thought I fixed this already. Alright, so there's that. Over here we have the PE-2. Oh, and as you'll note, most of these vehicles are World War II era. And I do have a tutorial of all of these, with the exception of a couple, and I'll point them out later. And in the back corner here we have the Grumman G21 Goose. And most of these builds were also requested. And next to that we have the B-18 Bolo A, I believe. Yeah, this is the A version. And the next to that is the B version. Although the skin pattern doesn't matter. It's compatible with either. It's just the style of the nose. And then moving on, doing our little circle around the island, we have the consolidated B-24 Liberator. In this version I built it without the waist turrets, only the glass window there, but there are versions that had waist gunners. Alright, and then moving on, once these chunks load, we have the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, one of my earlier tutorials. Pretty cool. Wait, I think I'm missing some slabs. No, I'm not. Looked incomplete for a second there. Alright, and getting to the back of the island, we see this big stone structure here. This is actually an extension of the runway. You see that, well, later you'll see that the runway is filled to capacity, and I'm going to extend the runway out to here to make space for more builds in the future. Anyway, continuing our circle, we come across, as these chunks load, 3 different Messerschmitt Bf109 skin layouts, paint jobs, etc., whatever you want to call them. It's being really laggy. There we go. So you got a little collection of those. And then next to that we have the Bristol Blenheim Mark IV. And moving on, we have here the Northrop P61 Black Widow. And yes, there should be 4 guns on the top, but I only had the space to make 2. And I think that's the same case for the bottom turret. Oh, I didn't put the bottom turret on there, but there's one down there as well. Oh, here's one of my personal favorites, the B-25G with a cannon in the nose. And then this shark skin layout. And then next to that we have the B-25B, once it loads. There we are. Pretty cool. Having shown you all of those, I guess I'll get to the actual runway here, in the center of the island. And then I'll move on to the ground vehicles. Alright, so I'm just waiting for some of the chunks to load here, then we'll get underway. while the chunks in the back are loading, I'll get to the ones up in front here. On the left side, we have the Grumman F6F Hellcat in two different, well, actually 4 different skin layouts. All of them are interchangeable with each other. And to the right, we have the Grumman F4F Wildcat. All of them of which looking pretty awesome. And behind that, we have the land version of the consolidated PBY Catalina. Yes, it is a bit wide in the belly. It is like a 3.0 size scale to keep it in proportion compared to all the other aircraft. You can build yours, if you followed my tutorial, a bit thinner if you think it's a bit large. Moving on from there, we have the Vought F4u Corsair. The only unfortunate thing was the wings had to be all white so that I could use slabs, and I couldn't put the carpet on all of them. But I made do with what I had. And next to that we have the P-47 Thunderbolt. I believe it was made by North American, but I could be mistaken. I don't recall exactly which company made the P-47. Oh, and I put a minecart in there. I think it still works. Let's see here. Yep, you can get inside the cockpit, as I found out from comments. Alright, behind here we have a couple Messerschmitt ME 262s. I believe they are called the Swallow when translated from German to English. This one I do not have a tutorial of, the Lockheed C-130, because a lot of people have already done the build, first of all, and second of all, mine isn't too different. So there wasn't too much to show there. Behind that, continuing on, we have the P-40 Warhawk to the left, and then to the right we have the North American P-51D Mustang. And I already showed you those guys. Alright, so we'll head this way this time. And in order, in front of these hangars here once they load, we have the F-14 Tomcat in a 1.1 scale. The rest of these are like 2.0 scale, I think, so that Steve could fit inside the cockpit. As for these ones, the more modern aircraft, I have them in 1.1 scale. To the best I could make them with, but still keeping some detail. And then next to that we have the F-16 Fighting Falcon. And then beyond that we have the FA-18 Super Hornet. Continuing on, here's the F-22 Raptor. And then finally the, I believe Boeing made the A-10 Thunderbolt. I could be mistaken there. The Warthog, as it's also called. And then we get on to the helicopters. So this is the MH-53, I think it's called, or yeah, MH-53 Pavlo. Pretty cool. Moving on, here's the I forget the call sign, but it's the Chinook Helicopter. And then here's the UH-1Y Phenom Helicopter, made by Bell. It's a present-day variant of the Huey family of choppers. And then that's the PD-2 again. So now we can move on to the land vehicles, and I can show you the ships. Alright, so we'll start off here on this corner here on the German line of war vehicles. Excuse me. Alright, so here's the Panzer Mark One. I did not make a tutorial specifically of this, but I did base it off of the M1340, being that they're just Italian and German counterparts of each other. So if you followed that tutorial, you can make the simple changes to convert it over to the Panzer Mark One. And next to that, we have the German half-track. Pretty cool. And then here is the Stug 3 and/or Stug 4 assault gun. It functions just fine as either model. No physical difference really. And next to that, we skip forward from the Panzer Mark One to the Panzer Mark 4, of which I've received a lot of compliments, as well as the Panzer Mark 6, the Tiger tank next to it. And then continuing on, here's the Panther tank, the Panzer 5, as it was also called. And this here is the Jagdtiger tank destroyer variant. Over here is the Jagd Panzer IV, based on a Panzer IV chassis, otherwise it's a tank destroyer as well. Built specifically to have a very low profile, which is why it's only 3.5 blocks tall in game. Next to that we have the Porsche Panzer Mark 8, I believe, Moz or Mao, however it's pronounced. And continuing on, here's the Jagdtiger tank destroyer. And then here is Porsche's design for the Tiger tank, which did not get accepted over the other tank design proposal. But regardless, it was a prototype nonetheless. Continuing this way, we have the M17 half-track with a quad 50 caliber mount on top. I forgot the name of the gun post there, but I used to know it. Next to that is the M60 patent tank. And then here we have the M7 Priest. And here is the M18 Hellcat tank destroyer. Next to that we have Willys MB Jeep. Almost finishing up the line here for the allied vehicles is the M3 half-track. Actually, this could also be the M2 half-track if you remove these 8 blocks right here. Anyway, next to that is the M4 Sherman. And then a couple more vehicles to wrap this up, and then we'll do the ships on the other side of the island. Here's the M3 Lee and Grant tank. And then next to that is the Churchill Mark IV infantry tank. Pretty cool. Alright, so now we head over to this side of the island. Alright, so resuming the recording after waiting for all those chunks to load, we have here the Northampton class heavy cruiser on the other side of the island, opposite from the B-17 and B-24. Alright, so continuing on, here's the Higgins Boat. Complete with the name tag and everything. And then next to that we have the naval variant of the PBY Catalina, docked in the water. And then continuing on from there, to this side we have the Swedish RCB-90 attack boat. This is one of my earliest tutorials as well. One of the first few on my channel. And then here we have to wrap up the SSN 571 Uss Nautilus, of which I do not have a tutorial, because I'm just far too busy to make time for doing so. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Pretty comprehensive island full of my military-related builds, and it will be in use for quite a while longer, as long as I still have builds to make on this island. So, thank you for watching, and this is Uss Nautilus for this video.